Hi, in this video we're going to look at how to create ideas in Project Server 2013 and convert them to projects based on certain properties like their size or their budget value or department or whatever you choose to. So the first thing we'll get started with is a simple SharePoint list. I named it work request. You can name it anything you want. So I have a pre-created list here that you can see. The list is pretty simple. I have the title of the request, and I have a group that request belongs to. A decision box that will allow me to say it's approved or not, and some couple of other columns. I also have a column called size, which is the property I'm going to use to decide which kind of project I will create in Project Server. So the first thing we'll do is we can create a new item. So let's name it something. This is a demo project for video. Okay, so the idea is the users will create work requests in here, and you can put in some customization whether they can select this box or not. But in my case, I have the ability to do it right away, which I'm not going to do. So I'm going to just put in some dates, 14, 14, and the size, let's say it's to be decided. We don't know yet. So hit save. So the idea is the users would create these requests into this list as proposals, and then there is probably an approval process that will take place where the project is considered for the business case, whether it should be approved or not. And once it's approved, maybe you want to create a project based on the size. You could actually manually create projects from this. So you just select that highlight item and say create projects. So let's say you want this to be a minor project or a medium project. You can select that and you can map all your fields to this and then hit create project. This is all inbuilt functionality in Project Server 2013, which is very cool. But for every request you will be required to select this project type that you want to create, which we do not want to do. So let's see if we can automate this by using a workflow in Project Server 2013. So I'm going to cancel out of that form, didn't do anything there. So what I'm going to do is we will open up this site in SharePoint Designer, which I have opened up already. Click on workflows. You can see that I already have some workflows listed out, but for the purposes of this demo we'll create a new one. So click on list workflow and select work requests, so which is our list. I'm building a workflow on a specific list. So I'm going to say, let's say project server ideas to projects, something like that. You can give it any name you want. And the important thing is you want to choose and leave the platform type as the default SharePoint 2013 workflow. There are a couple of other, because it's a list workflow, you get 2010 workflow or 2013 workflow options. So I'm going to leave it as 2013 and say OK. So for here you can start building your workflow using a text-based designer, which are very simple logics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a condition. The first condition we want to check for is whether the project is approved or not. So I'm going to say for the current item, because this workflow runs on each item in the workflow, so I'm going to check for if that approved field equals yes or no. Only if it is yes, I want this workflow to run. So, and once it is approved is yes, then I want to put in a switch kind of a condition where based on what project size was selected, the project type is created. So I'm going to say create project on current item. Before that I'm going to say parallel block. So let's see how it says all the following actions will run in parallel. So I'm going to put in a condition here. If any value equals value, now I'm going to check for the size. where the size equals major, I want to create a project from current list item with this enterprise project type. So clicking on that link will allow me to select which project type that I want to select. So basically what we just said was, if the current list item equals major, we want the system to create a project from using the project type called major project. Similarly, I will put in conditions for other stuff too. So I'm going to say current item size equals value medium. I want a project to be created. One cool thing you can do is you can copy paste these text easily in SharePoint Designer and just change those values, which makes it much faster to build. So I'm going to do copy that, paste it, copy that, paste it. So if that's these minor, I'm going to create a minor project, and then after it is done, I'm going to end. I want to end the workflow. So at this for errors, it's always a good idea to check for errors. So as you can see, the workflow contains no errors, and say OK. So once the save is completed, the next step is to publish the workflow. Before we publish, we want to make sure that these two boxes are selected so that the workflow is automatically started whenever an item is created or changed. That way I do not have to remember to keep manually creating the or starting the workflow. So once I check those boxes, I click publish, and the system will publish the workflow to the list that we have associated this with. Once the publish is done, let's jump back to the list that we have created. I'm going to go ahead and create a new item, a new request for work. So we'll give it a reasonable name. This is a new request to convert to a minor project. Okay, so we'll select a group, and as a requester, I'm not going to approve it, so I'm going to just put in some data, and then I'm going to say 9, 14, and we'll leave the size as to be decided. So I'm going to hit save. So assume this is a request that is created by the user. Now I'm wearing the hat of an approver, so I would come back into the same list, click on this, and edit item, and I'm going to go ahead and approve it because our workflow is going to check for this approval. This needs to be checked, and I'm going to decide the size to be a minor project and hit save. So as soon as you do that, you can see that the status message starts getting displayed under this column called, which has the name or same name as the workflow that we created. So if I click on that, it will show me the status of the workflow. So as you can see, the status is showing as completed right now. So let's go back to Project Center and make sure the project actually got created. So you can see under minor projects, this is the new request that we just created. So you can open up the project and see that the project has been created. Hopefully this gives you a good starting point of getting started with workflows in Project Server 2013. Thank you for watching.